All right, let's talk about something you see on pretty much every food label out there: natural versus artificial flavors. It's a choice we all make, but what are we actually choosing between? Come on, be honest. You've done it, right? You're standing in the grocery aisle, you see two yogurts, and you grab the one that says natural flavors on the label. It just feels like the better, healthier move. We all do it. But is that feeling based on reality? Well, we're about to find out. So, what is the real difference here? You might be surprised to learn that it has almost nothing to do with what the flavor is and everything to do with where it came from. It's all about the source. Okay, so here's the deal. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, a natural flavor must be derived from a plant or an animal source. An artificial flavor, well, that's everything else made in a lab. But here's the kicker. The final chemical compound can be absolutely identical. The only difference is its origin story. Let's take vanilla, for example. The molecule that gives vanilla its signature taste is called vanillin. Now, if a flavor chemist extracts that vanillin from an actual vanilla bean, it gets to be called natural. But if they create that exact same molecule from scratch in a lab, it's labeled artificial. To your taste buds, and even under a microscope, it's the same thing. No difference. So you're thinking, okay, natural just means it started as a plant or animal. Simple enough. But not so fast. This is where the story gets a little tricky. Because the journey from that plant to your food is, well, it's often a lot less natural than you think. You see, creating a natural flavor isn't like your grandma squeezing an orange. It's a full-on industrial process. Scientists, called flavorists, use things like intense heating, roasting, and something called enzymolysis to rip out and isolate these flavor compounds. Honestly, it's way more lab coat and beaker than it is farm and field. And the process for artificial flavors? Ironically, it can be a lot more direct. Flavorists just analyze the chemical structure of a flavor they want to copy, and then they build it from the ground up using pure, approved synthetic ingredients. It's precise, it's controlled, and in some ways, it's a much simpler imitation. This whole debate feels so modern, doesn't it? Like something that came up with the rise of organic food. But the idea of making flavors in a lab? It has a surprisingly long history. Let's take a quick trip back in time. Yep, 1851. That's not a typo. That's the year the very first artificial flavors were introduced to the public. It all went down at the famous Crystal Palace exhibition in London, kind of like the World's Fair of its day. Right alongside newfangled steam engines, people were tasting candies flavored with chemicals made by scientists. It was literally a taste of the future, more than 170 years ago. And you know, our relationship with these flavors has been evolving ever since. In 1906, the Pure Food and Drug Act started putting some rules in place. By the 60s, the FDA was approving many of the additives we're familiar with today. But it's not just a story of more and more. Just a few years ago, in 2018, the FDA actually banned some synthetic flavors because of health concerns. It just goes to show you that the science and the rules are always changing. And that brings us right to the heart of it. The big question you're probably asking: are they safe? Is one really better for you than the other? To get to that, we need to talk about regulation.
Okay, here's probably the most important acronym in this whole explainer: GRAS. It stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. For any additive, natural or artificial, to end up in your food, it has to be on the FDA's GRAS list. That means a panel of scientists has looked at the data and agreed that based on what we know, it's safe to consume.
So let's lay it all out, side by side. The origin is different, sure, plant versus lab, but the regulation is exactly the same. Both have to be on that GRAS list. The biggest difference is our perception. We see natural and think simple and healthy. We see artificial and think synthetic and unhealthy. But the truth is, both have potential issues. Natural flavors are often complex mixtures that can hide common allergens, while for some artificial ones, we just don't know the long-term effects. So neither one gets a totally free pass. And hey, this isn't just a US debate. If you look around the world, it's a total patchwork of rules. Countries like Norway and Austria just ban artificial flavors altogether. France restricts some of them. Australia and New Zealand have banned colorants like red dye number 3 for years. And now California is set to do the same. It makes it pretty clear that there's no single global agreement on this stuff. So after all that, where does that leave you, standing there in the grocery aisle? What should you actually do with this information? Let's talk about what's next. When you really get down to it, you start to realize something. The truest natural flavor isn't some additive that comes out of a bottle. It's the flavor you get from whole, unprocessed foods. An actual strawberry, a real vanilla bean. That's flavor in its most original, unmessed with form.
And this quote really just nails it. The word natural on a food package doesn't guarantee a healthier choice. It's more about marketing than anything else. It's a matter of perception. At the end of the day, both are chemical compounds created by scientists to make our food taste a certain way.
So, the next time you pick up a box and read that ingredient list, you'll see natural flavors or artificial flavors in a completely new light. Now that you're in on the secret, the choice is still yours, but at least you're making it with your eyes wide open about what's really going on behind the label.